Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Blake Creamer, and in this podcast, I'm going to give you all the best streamers and ad options for next week so you can start planning early. Let's get to biz. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're doing a waiver show here. It's awesome. It's Friday night. I'm tired as hell. And unfortunately, I don't have my best friend Nate here with me tonight. Something you might not know about Nate, he's actually an amateur magician. Yeah, that's right. And he's taken part-time classes for that. Doing pretty well, actually, last I heard. But he had his final exam here the other night, and he was doing his signature trick. In Nate's case, his finale, it has a lot of different elements, like a hacksaw, a hot dog wiener, ketchup, mustard, an iguana for some reason, and, of course, pixie sticks, okay? Just to stay true to himself. Anyways, long story short, during his exam, he handled the wiener, and he didn't wipe his hands well enough. And he went to get the hacksaw, accidentally dropped it onto his pinky toe. Okay, ended up lopping off just the tip. So yeah, he's resting tonight. He's got phantom pinky toe pain. You know, they're going to reattach it. I think everything's going to be fine. They are also looking at a bionic option as well. So you know, we'll get an update from him on Sunday. But yeah, he's resting, but he should be back for Sunday's pod. Please send him your well wishes and also your requests to perform the wiener trick live. I've been trying to get him to do this for years. The wiener trick. Just hit Nate up. Hit him in the DMs there. He sometimes needs some encouragement. But anyways, it's week 22, folks. I'm acting silly already. I'm sorry about this. This could be the first week of your playoffs, so we got to get in there. We need to get this right. We got to make some good informed decisions, and that's what we're doing here on the week 22 waiver wire preview. We're going to get the biz. Let's stop mucking about. First things first, we got to do some Newsies. All right. Sorry, I got to do everything here. Oh, there we go. All right. Quinn Hughes, he's back in the lineup. He was back in the lineup on Wednesday night for the Canucks and played 30 minutes almost. So that's really good to see. That was a Canucks 4-3 win. They really needed it, if anyone cares. But wouldn't surprise me if he's held out of a game or two here and there. But for now, he's good to go. So fire up your Quinn Hughes. The Canucks obviously need him if they have any chance of making the postseason here. And also sticking with the Canucks of note, Demko was at team practice today. Took some shots. There was 3 goalies out there. He was almost a full participant until he left early. It sounds like that was scheduled for him to leave early as he ramps back up, getting into form there. So we could still see some Demmer here. That's your Demko for your fantasy playoffs. That would be pretty epic. In one league, I spent a stupid amount of fab picking him up when he was dropped. This is before, kind of right after he got re-injured, and we didn't know the timeline. And yeah, I thought I'd spend a bunch of money on that, and you see the results. So if I could just recoup some of those costs, that'd be excellent. All right. Shout out to Thatcher Demko. Shout out to the Canucks. All right. Canada's team. Am I right? All right. Let's move on. Nikita Kucherov, Tampa Bay Lightning, back at practice after missing last game due to illness. Check his status moving forward. Neil Pionk, one of the best names in the league. He's out week to week with a lowy body injury. This is more of a proactive move, it sounds like, for the Jets, just to get him ready for the playoffs. So there's no real winner for fantasy. I think, I didn't check tonight, but Colin Miller on power play 2. I think they only had one power play. Colin Miller, I don't give a damn, but he might get some power play 2 reps. Over to Calgary. Captain Mikhail Backlund, he's out week to week for the Flames. That's a tough loss there. They definitely need him for their playoff push. They lost their game tonight here, which doesn't help. And to make matters worse, Connor Zary was also suspended 2 games for an elbow that he gave to defenseman Elias Pettersson. Cheap shot too, buddy. What are you doing? He doesn't do that. Connor Zary, come on, man. You're an offensive player. You don't need to muck it up with these boys. But he's out for 2 games tonight, being the first here. So yeah, one more game for him. Then he's back. Over to Buffalo, Josh Norris, new trade piece there. He has a lingering injury that he's been dealing with all season, and now he's being evaluated by the team medical staff there in Buffalo. So consider him day-to-day for now. I'm not sure if he's going to play the next game. Keep an eye on it. We don't know if he's going to miss games at this point, but they don't have anything to play for at this point. So I think Josh Norris could be a shutdown risk Just something to think about. I haven't heard that anywhere, but that's just my initial thought. JJ Peterka with Buffalo, he's doing better, but he's not playing on Saturday. He could be back for the Monday, Wednesday next week, and hopefully he is. We really need a guy like him just doing some streaming there. So, yeah, check on the Buffalo Sabres status. Over to Philly. They're quite the Phillies. Rasmus Ristolainen. He's day-to-day. He's a little banged up as per Torts. He's got an uppy body injury. He was cooking on power play one. Cooking, maybe not the right word, but he was, present on power play one. With him out, it's Jamie Drysdale getting that run. Neither guy's doing anything. Philadelphia, not very good. All right, let's move on. Just some signing here. Aiden Hill for the Vegas Golden Knights signed a 6-year deal worth $6.25 million. That's awesome for him. Lock him up. He's been a little bit inconsistent this year, but this kind of money, he's going to get more of the run moving forward. I know there's been some frustration with Aiden Hill and Ilya Samsonov. They've been splitting starts. I think they're probably just trying to keep Hill fresh for the playoffs, but hopefully moving forward, we'll see maybe kind of a 2 starts for Hill, 1 start for Samsonov kind of rotation, and that'll be worth it for fantasy, that's for sure. Don't drop Aiden Hill, folks. I've had that question a couple times, and I'm not doing it. New Jersey, Doug the Slug. Oh, yeah. Dougie Hamilton, he's out for the season. And, the hits just keep coming for the Devils. They're already without Jack Hughes. That's really tough. So we got the Luke Hughes mega stream. Everyone who listens to this pod knows that I'm pretty high on Luke Hughes right now. It's not rocket science. The guy's a great offensive player, and he's getting a major boost in deployment and opportunity. So he's a must-roster player. Get Luke Hughes on your team. He's doing stuff out there, but tough news for Dougie. In Carolina, Svechnikov, he's feeling better, Rod Brindamore said, but he didn't play Friday, and Saturday is his next chance to play. I wouldn't be surprised if they hold him out of that as well, just give him a little bit more time to heal up from whatever he's dealing with. It's undisclosed at this time. And then last thing, Elvis Merzlikins, he's unavailable for personal reasons, so he's taking a little bit of time away from the team. Nothing too crazy that we've heard yet, but Jet Graves has been called up, and it's going to be Graves and Daniil Tarasov splitting the net until we know more information with Merzlikins. But that's it. That's it for the Newsies. Now, we got to attack that schedule, folks. Okay. Monday, we've got 5 games on the Monday. Tuesday, 9 games. Wednesday, just 2 games. Thursday, 14 games. That's a beefer. It's going to be really tough to get players in there. Friday, there's only 1 game, and that's Columbus and Pittsburgh. Saturday, there's another 14 games. So Thursday and Saturday are going to be really tough to get players in on. And then Sunday has 7 games. So, all in all, it's a 52-game week. That's a fairly normal week. But obviously, like I said, the Thursday and the Saturday are going to be really hard for your streamers. And I'll get into it here, but there's not a lot of off nights to choose from. There's not a lot of pathways to a really ideal, effective stream. So we're going to have to get creative, I think. Also, there's no teams that have a Sunday, Monday back-to-back, so you can't really, use that as a strategy. There is one team with a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the weekend. It's the Calgary Flames. So I'm very interested in that. Huberdeau is going bonkers right now. I think, I talked about this in the sort of that Rolling Lines show that I did the other day, but I'd be holding on to Calgary for sure for these first 2 games. Huberdeau, Kadri, I think I'm trying to hold those guys. They're playing really, really well right now. So definitely hold them for that back-to-back and then see what you want to do because they do play the Thursday and the Saturday. So it'll be tough there. There are 2 teams with the Monday, Wednesday start to open the week. I think I mentioned Buffalo earlier, but they don't do that. Sorry. It's Minnesota and Toronto. Minnesota plays Monday, Wednesday. Toronto plays Monday, Wednesday. Buffalo plays Monday, but they don't play on Wednesday. So there you go. What else? There's 0 teams with the Wednesday, Friday off night. So you don't have that mid-week stream. That could be really helpful. And there's only 1 team with the Friday, Sunday off night stream. And that's going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins. So it's a bad streaming week. There's no doubt about it. No dude about it. It's going to be rough, right? So when you got a week like this, obviously you do your best to get those off nights in, but you don't want to just drop really good players to just get, a 1-game stream from a skater. That's never a good idea. So, ideally, can you thread the needle? Can you pick up a Minnesota or Toronto player Monday, Wednesday, and then into a Pittsburgh player for that Friday, Sunday for 4 off nights? That's probably the best you can do in terms of streaming. I think also when you have a week like this, 1-game goalie streams are in play. Absolutely. So you're going to have some of those. Also, I find, and I've said this before, there's there's a decent chance that you can get defensemen in over skaters. So we want to make sure that, we're looking at that. You might need to get a fourth or fifth defenseman that you can get into your lineup, but it's bad. There's no sugarcoating it. So hopefully you've set yourself up a little bit to this point. Just remember though, it's not going to be great for anybody. It's brutal. So that's it. That's what we got for the schedule attack. Now we got to move into the next segment here. Lowered expectations. Yeah. They're already pretty damn low. This stinks. There are two teams that really have a garbage schedule here that are not really going to be able to help you at all this week. And they are the Detroit Red Wings and the San Jose Sharks. Again, Detroit they play Tuesday, Saturday, and Tuesday is the 9-game Tuesday. So you might be able to get a Detroit player in there. So, I'll get into it in a second here, but a player like Marco Kasper, right? Maybe you hold on to him because he's been playing pretty well, and then you drop him after Tuesday. But San Jose plays the busy Thursday, the busy Saturday. So I'm dropping a lot of my Sharks here. Let's get into it team by team here, starting with Detroit. And I'll try and give you some kind of cutoffs where guys I'm trying to hold, guys I'm happy to bounce to the curb. Patrick Kane is a guy I'm trying to hold. Obviously, you don't drop a guy who just popped for a 5-point game. He didn't do much tonight here, which is Friday, but yeah, he's cooking right now. He's still got it at age 36. I'm holding on to Kane even through the bad 2-game week here because one of the things I wanted to talk about as well is at this point of the year, we have to look past the week that we're in, right? We're in our playoffs potentially, week 22. We can't just be dropping guys willy-nilly, right? It's really important that we make our decisions really informed, right? They have to be well thought out and forward thinking. So this time around, I'm going to tell you the potential bubble players, but also their schedule in week 23 as well, so you can make an informed decision. Okay. So again, starting with Detroit, they play the 2 games here this week, but next week in week 23, they play 4 games with 1 off night, and it's a good streaming week. So you'll like the heavy nights aren't that heavy, so you might be able to get more out of these players. Anyways, Patrick Kane, I'm holding. Vladimir Tarasenko, I'm probably bouncing. I don't know why you'd be rostering him anyway. Maybe he's in the same vein as Marco Kasper. You hold him till Tuesday, and then you punt him. So that's where I'm at with the Detroit Red Wings. San Jose Sharks, the only guy I'm really holding here, like no question, is Celebrini. Everybody else is on the block to me, even Tyler Toffoli, right? Jeff Gillooly. Anybody know who Jeff Gillooly is? Nate doesn't. All right. Hit me up in the comments if you know who Jeff Gillooly is. And then hit me up in the comments if you know why I'm talking about Jeff Gillooly in that way. All right. Are you getting my references? Is anybody out there? Is this thing on? I'm literally talking to a screen in my basement right now. Okay. This is what's happening. And I'm enjoying a delicious grapefruit bubbly. All right. Let me just. What the hell is bubbly? Why does this exist? It's soda water, but with essence of grapefruit, but not the good part, right? The sugar. It's just the other part. And we're just okay with this. We're just okay with bubbly. I drink it all the time. I don't like it. I don't understand, but maybe they put an addictive chemical in it. Anyways, I'm digressing. San Jose Sharks, Celebrini is your hold. I mean, they have a 3-game schedule and 3 games with 1 off night next week. So again, you're not getting much out of these players. There are way better options. Even though these guys are cooking right now, I think that there's a good chance you should probably get off those players. My 2 cents. All right, let's move on to the next bunch of teams that and I'll do a kind of a rapid fire here. 9 teams that have 3 games with 0 off nights. So it's going to be tough. Like I said, you can get them in the Tuesday maybe, but the Thursday, Saturday is going to be a real problem. Let's start here. 9 teams are Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, New York Islanders, New York Rangers, Ottawa Senators, Vancouver Canucks, Washington Capitals, and the Utah Hockey Club. All right. Let's start in Dallas. I'm going to look at some of these players here. I mean, power play 2, a lot of these guys are, you're potentially rostered, right? You're looking at Granny, Mikael Granlund, Jamie Benn, Mason Marchment. These guys are all power play 2. I think they're all droppable for sure, but keep in mind next week in week 23, they play 4 games with 2 off nights. So these guys will be valuable again, but if they're not getting in your lineup after the Tuesday, I think these guys are all expendable. You could drop all those players in my opinion. I think I would value Marchment over the other one. So I'd probably go in terms of drop order. I'd drop Ben first, then Granlund, then Marchment. That's how I do it with Dallas. Let's move over to Edmonton. Yeah, what the hell is Zach Hyman doing? I mean, this is really painful. We almost need to start including him in these lists. Just what a garbage season the guy's been having. Plus, he only played 10 minutes tonight. I didn't watch the game, so I'm wondering if there's an injury there. I don't know what the issue was, so I'm going to be looking out for news there on Zach Hyman because I don't know why he played such a low time on ice. But anyways, let's talk about some of the more clear bubble guys. RNH, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. You might as well throw Hyman in there as well. I mean, geez, I'm not dropping Hyman, but I'm going to put him in there. RNH, Hyman, Jake Wallman, Matthias Ekholm, who's still day-to-day, right? He was out in the game here. Could return on Tuesday, right? He's had a little bit of time off here. Darnell Nurse. So these are all players that are potentially droppable, right? If they're not getting into your lineup. And in week 23, Edmonton plays 3 games with 1 off night. So it's not great either, right? For me, I'm trying to hold on to any of the players that have the Edmonton power play 1, right? RNH, Hyman for sure. And then the way I would sort of rank these guys, I'd probably drop Ekholm first. I think he's been dealing with this injury pretty much all season, or at least the last little bit here. And we got Jake Wallman in here, who's actually playing pretty darn good. Jake Wallman's got 4 assists in his last 5 games. Metrics are out of hand. He's getting good minutes, under 23 minutes, just under. 23rd in shots and goal per 60 amongst defensemen, and 11th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60 for Jakey, the gritty. He's doing stuff out there, and it's been a nice fit. Obviously, he's not getting power play, but he's a guy that doesn't exactly need it. He did really well in Detroit in a similar role, and I think he's getting more minutes here in Edmonton. It's been a nice fit so far, and he's good in bangers leagues as well. So, I think I'd be trying to hold on to him as well, but certainly RNH, certainly Hyman, I'm holding for now. And then, I would hold on to Wallman if I could and probably bounce Ekholm and Nurse. There you go. Let's move over to Montreal. Again, 3 games, 0 off nights here this week. In week 23, they play 4 games with 2 off nights. So they're a team that I'm interested in next week. They're a team that can really help you. And the guys that you're potentially looking to get off of this week, they're all pretty good players. And I'm talking about guys like the Professor, Mike Matheson, right? Who's obviously, he's not the same Mike Matheson that we saw last year. This is a guy who's pacing for 38 points this year after going off for like 60 plus last year. I hate it here, but Matheson's a team guy, and he's Montreal's having some success with him in this role. He's playing a boatload of minutes, right? So you got Matheson out there, Lane Hudson. We're not dropping him, obviously. Yuri Slavkovsky, I don't want to drop him. He's been playing pretty darn good too as of late. A couple goals in the last game. Patrick Laine. I'm trying to hold all of these guys, to be honest. But if I had to drop, I would say Matheson's your first drop, then Laine. Those are the guys. Probably Laine first, actually, then Matheson. I mean, Laine at this point, he's getting no minutes. This is he has 2 points in the last 3 games, but averaging 11 minutes time on ice. There's a reason for that, folks. And it's just he doesn't play defense, or he's not doing something that Martin St. Louis is asking him to do, right? And I don't think that's just all of a sudden going to change. He's going to start popping off with his deployment. But, I mean, the underlying metrics are, at least the shooting metrics are pretty decent for Laine. He's a power play specialist at this point, and you could probably find someone a bit better out there on your wire. So I'd probably drop Laine, then Matheson, and I'm definitely holding the rest. I'm not moving off of Slavkovsky or Hudson. All right, let's move on to the Islanders, New York Islanders. We're looking at Dobby, Noah Dobson, Bo Horvat, Anders Lee, Romanov, Kyle Palmieri. Yeah, this team is never exciting, right? But they do have a good week 23 schedule, 4 games with 3 off nights. This week, 3 games, 0 off nights. So hold if you can, right? Like, it has to make sense for your team. I'm not just auto dropping these players, but I mean, I can't see any of these players beside Dobson and maybe Horvat that's getting into your lineup on the busy Thursday and Saturday. So that's kind of the cutoff to me. The other guys I think are all pretty expendable. But yeah, definitely Bo and Dobby, I'm probably holding on to there. So keep that in mind. Moving on, the New York Rangers. Yeah. Chris Kreider, it's been a slog of a season for this guy. I mean, his ice time's way down. He's also on the 3rd line, which really is not good. He's still power play 1, but yeah, if you have to get off Chris Kreider, I can get on board with that. I honestly can. It's not his year, right? It's just not his year this year, and there's some other guys that are doing the same thing that he was doing. So I believe there's an injury involved there with Kreider. So Kreider, if you have to get off him, that's fine. They play 3 games and 1 off night in week 23. So you're not getting any help there, right? Kreider, Alexis Lafreniere, I think Will Cooley, Zach Jones, like Lafreniere and Will Cooley are on power play too, right? But top 6. Neither guy to me is a must hold. Kreider, like I said, line 3, power play 1, but it's been a bad season here. I think he could be dropped for sure. Laff and Cooley as well. I mean, Cooley in a bangers league, I'm probably keeping him because he's got, he's a hit monster. Zach Jones is interesting to me. Power play 1 for now, but just an update. Adam Fox did shed the non-contact jersey in practice recently here, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ready for this upcoming week here. So while he's out, Zach Jones has value. It gets nuked the minute that Adam Fox gets back in the lineup here. So keep an eye on it. Jones is droppable, obviously, as well, even as a power play 1 quarterback here, but it depends on the ad, right? It's not just a guy you're like, well, he only has 3 games, 0 offense, I'm getting rid of him. This is a guy that's power play 1 on a pretty good power play. So see what you can do there. See what makes sense. Next team here, Ottawa. These guys are cooking. This is crazy. They're stacking dubs. You got guys on the team here: Thomas Chabot, Claude Giroux, Dylan Cousins, and Fabian Zetterlund. Some names here. Ottawa plays 4 games and 1 off night in week 23. So I wanted to throw that out there. Getting the 4 games, you could probably get them into those games. To me, Zetterlund, currently, he's a drop. You can absolutely drop Zetterlund. He's getting no minutes, under 10 minutes the last few games. They're trying to figure out where to put him in the lineup, I think, and it hasn't been a great start. Cousins, on the other hand, has been really good. I think, he's power play 1, Dylan Cousins, and I'm trying to hold him, I think. He's a fringe player, but I like what I see. He's hitting like a beast. He's had 2 games where he had a 7-hit game, an 8-hit game. He's looking pretty good out there. I think he's a little bit rejuvenated. He's happy to be on a playoff team at this point. So, yeah. And then Claude Giroux, obviously he's getting good even strength deployment. He's power play 2 right now. I'm trying to hold Giroux and Cousins if I can because there's some value there, but they're both fringe players. Moving on, we got the Vancouver Canucks. And honestly, all these guys would be droppable to me, except that they play 4 games with 4 off nights next week. They have a perfect schedule, right? This is what you looked at the beginning of the year. You're like, oh, in week 23, Vancouver has a perfect schedule. I'm going to draft Brock Besser. And how's that been working out for everybody? Not great. And I have him in 2 spots. But yeah, I mean, we're talking Brock Besser, Phil Hronik, Kiefer Sherwood, the Ultimate Beeford, Jake DeBrusk, Connor Garland, Philip Hedl. What you need to do, watch your Vancouver streamers, right? And try not to drop them unless you have no other options, right? We can't take zeros. There's no purpose in taking zeros, worrying about week 23 if we're not even going to be there, right? So all these guys to me are droppable if you need to. That said, I'm trying to hold all of them if I can. No one on this list is undroppable, Besser included to me. He's been playing terribly this year. He's just a guy that really relied on JT Miller. And now that he's gone, they don't have a similar player to kind of win those board battles, get the puck to Besser, right? Besser's kind of a setup and shoot guy. He's not a zone entry guy, and he needs some help. And right now they're going to be playing him with Phil Hedl here in the next game. So I think that's a good thing, but I don't know. Phil Hedl is not JT Miller. That's for sure. So prioritize the players on power play 1 for the Canucks. And right now that's Besser, Garland, and DeBrusk. Those are the guys that are getting the power play 1 deployment. I don't think that's going to change. And I know I've said Hedl over Garland very recently. I'm changing that. Right now, Garland is getting more ice time and he's getting power play 1. So I think that has to be the answer, right? I just thought that Hedl, he was playing really well at the time and he was getting the ice time and he was getting power play 1, but that hasn't been the case moving forward. So Besser, Garland, DeBrusk, I'm trying to hold on to. Hedl and Sherwood. Sherwood in a points league, no business on your team, but obviously you're keeping him in a bangers league. Both those guys play power play 2. So there's some value there. Moving on to Washington. We got PLD, Connor McMichael, Alexi Protas. Guys, this whole line has been playing unreal. They do play a 3-game 1 off night week next week. So not much help again in week 23. So it's, I mean, you got to make some decisions. These are the hard decisions. A guy like PLD, he's popping off. This guy's pacing for a career high 71 points. I love it. I'm so here for this PLD. And the metrics for Connor McMichael and Alexi Protas, pretty darn good. Actually, sheesh. Just looking at this, Pierre-Luc Dubois, 5 points in 5 games, 38th overall on shots to goal per 60. Buddy, he's he's chucking pucks. This is amazing. And he's hitting the net. Way to go, PLT. Like they're just generating a ton. Connor McMichael, 70th overall in individual scoring chances for, 10th overall in his on-ice numbers and scoring chances for per 60. This line is generating a ton. We know what Alexei Protas is doing. 7 points in his last 5, including a hat trick. The guy is unreal right now. They're playing great. So I'm trying to hold all three, right? They're probably worse players on your roster to bounce. If you have to drop these guys, I'd start by dropping McMichael, then Protas, and then PLD in that order. So that's how I'm ranking them for your drops. Last team here, Utah Hockey Club. And we're looking at guys like Logan Cooley, Nick Schmaltz, Barrett Hayton, and then anything below there is probably a drop. But again, bad schedule this week, great schedule next week. In week 23, Utah Hockey Club plays 4 games, 3 off nights. And that's the same. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But I don't want to drop these guys, especially considering the great schedule they have in week 23. But if you have to, I'm going Cooley first. I'm finally, like, they've had Barrett Hayton on power play 1 for a long enough time now where I feel like that's the route they're going. I thought Cooley to me has a higher ceiling, right? But Hayton has actually been doing really well with his metrics. Like, check this out. Last 5 games, Barrett Hayton, 4 points, 19 minutes, average time on ice, 44th overall in shots on goal per 60, 11th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60. And he's shooting 6.3%. So he's got some room to grow there. This guy's generating a ton and he's not converting. So I think Barrett Hayton could actually be doing a lot better if he was actually putting the biscuit in the basket. So Logan Cooley, 0 points in his last 5. So I think that can be a drop. He's still pacing for 66 points on the season, but the metrics have fallen off a bit, and it doesn't look like he's going to be getting power play 1, like I said. And then Schmaltzy, I'm holding on to him. He scored a goal here tonight, which is Friday. He's shooting the puck, which is not something he's really known for. So I'm definitely holding Schmaltz. That's not a guy I'm looking to get off of here, especially with the good schedule there in week 23. Okay. All right. That's it for lowered expectations, folks. Now we got to move over to a section called Crossing the Streams. Oh, yeah. This is the segment where we talk about the best teams to stream for this upcoming week. And Nate's not here. It's hard to cross the streams by yourself. Okay, I miss my buddy. I've tried to cross the streams by myself, and I needed a shower afterwards. All right, it wasn't good. But I'll give you a little anecdote here. I mean, with Nate doing his magician thing, it just reminds me of the time I went with Nate to watch a hypnotist together. We like to do things like that, right? Just boys being boys. All right. Bro time, just hanging out. And the hypnotist, this guy was supposed to be very good, right? His whole shtick was that he's dressed in like an old Western vibe, right? And actually really cool stage name too. He's called the Amazing Atomic Cowboy. So I don't know, Google him, that maybe get some tickets. It was a good time. Got to be good, right? I mean, this guy had spurs and everything, all right, on his boots, just wearing spurs out there on a random Tuesday. Yeah, he was doing stuff. But anyways, Nate and I are having some bro time, right? It's good for the soul. The show. All right, back to the show. It's going on, right? We're, it's going along. We're laughing our heads off. People are doing crazy stuff in front of all of us. I don't know if you've ever seen a hypnotist, but as luck would have it, Nate and I get called on stage. Okay. So we go up, we expect hilarity to ensue. We sit down and this guy starts working on us, right? Starts doing his thing. He starts counting backwards from 5 really slowly. And Nate and I start settling in, right? We're starting to sink into our seats a little bit. And then something strange happened. There was a small problem. This particular hypnotist, the Atomic Cowboy, I don't know what was going on this night, but he had an insane case of gas. Okay. I'm not sure what he ate, but his body was rejecting it. Okay. I mean, it was an onslaught of toots. All right. So basically every number he would let loose a variety of flatulence, the likes of which I've never experienced before. All kinds too, like squeakers, SBDs that sound silent but deadly, rippers, everything in between, right? Bizarre stuff. And it wasn't part of the show, right? This guy was just having a raging case of IBS, but we carried on, the show must go on. Eventually we were under, I guess. I mean, it was hard to take a full breath. We couldn't really, take a deep breath in, right? But it didn't matter. And he says to us, when I snap my fingers, you will awake and you will reenact the happiest memory of your life. Okay. And I think you know where this is going, folks. All right. 3, 2, 1, snap. Okay. Both Nate and I get up and obviously we just start undressing, right? We start undoing our belts. We're starting to get ready for our time-honored tradition of crossing the streams. And I guess the hypnotist, he's never seen this before. He starts to get a little concerned, and he steps in physically just to kind of stop us from what we're doing, right? Just to help protect us. And obviously, maybe the crowd doesn't want to see that, but in doing so, he trips over a chair, and one of his spurs actually hits the ground hard, and it throws up a spark, right? Well, just imagine like a stage clouded with toots. Okay, it's a green fog, and this man just, he'd been releasing it over an extended period of time, and now this cloud is kissed with a spur spark, and it just created this giant fireball, just launched up in the air. Right? I had one of my eyebrows burnt off, and Nate's pants were entirely incinerated. It was insane. So we both work up. We wake up, and there's this strange silence in the crowd. And then all of a sudden, a single fan starts a slow clap. And it gets louder and faster, right? And more people join in. And by the end of it, it was a standing ovation for the Atomic Cowboy and the suddenly pantsless Nate. It was a wild time, folks. All right. We got free tickets, too, for the next show, which maybe, you know what I'll do? I'll give those away, the free tickets to the Atomic Cowboy. If someone can give me their thoughts on the story in the comments. Yeah? You see what I'm doing here? I'm sorry, folks. I miss Nate. That's the point of the story. All right. Nate's not here. I'm dead inside. And this is the result. All right. But we got to talk about fantasy hockey. We got the playoffs. I'm dinking around over here talking about toots. We got serious business to take care of. Let's get into it, folks. All right. There are 6 teams that have, this is the best schedule we got here. It's a 4-game played, 2 off-night schedule. And there are 6 teams that have that. So those teams are the Boston Bruins, Buffalo Sabres, Los Angeles Kings, Philadelphia Flyers, Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, and like I said, Toronto is one of those teams that has a Monday, Wednesday start. So that's really key there. Just again to remind you of that. But let's check it out. Let's start with Boston. Boston. How do you like them apples? I got a number. All right. Boston, we got some interesting options here. Elias Lindholm. I mean, he's out there. I've talked Yang on this man, and rightfully so. He's doing nothing under the hood. This guy's he's a soggy noodle, right? Nothing going on, but he's on power play 1, so that does have some value. Mason Lowry is a guy I'm interested in as well. The quarterback on power play 1, that's not going anywhere. Connor Geekie is power play 1. Casey Middlestat is power play 1. So, I mean, let's dig in on some of these metrics here. Like, first off, I'll talk about Lindholm. 3 assists in the last 5 games. 17 minutes average time on ice. That's fine, but he's pacing for 42 points on the year. That's terrible. 186th in shots on goal per 60. 45th overall in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60. That's an improvement. So I'm happy with that. But in a week like this, yeah, this guy's going to be viable. There's no question. Mason Lowry, power play 1. We've talked about him to death. Pavel Zacha is the interesting one. Ice time still reasonable, just under 19 minutes, 3 points in the last 5. Metrics okay. Like he's 183rd in shots goal per 60 over the last 5, but 74th overall in individual scoring chances for. So that's all right. I mean, that's fine. I still like the nerdlinger Morgan Geekie. 3 goals for him in the last 5. He's getting the same amount of ice time as Pavel Zacha. It's an option, right? But his metrics are even worse than Elias Lindholm. So yeah, I think there's some options there. Casey Middlestat is an interesting piece. He's been playing pretty well since he got to Boston, but it's just not a guy I'm ever going to be interested in. Obviously, we saw what happened there in Colorado. He's getting some opportunity here in Boston, and he's running with it a little bit. 3 points in 4 games. Metrics putrid as they normally are. 46-point pace for Casey Middlestat. So I think if I had to order them, I'd go Lowry first. Let's see, probably Lowry, Geekie, Zacha, Lindholm. That's how I'd roll there. And Middlestat. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. I just don't trust Casey Middlestat, and I'm not sure that deployment's going to hold up, especially when you got Pavel Zacha on power play 2 there. I think it makes more sense for them to switch, but they're doing a little experiment here, so that's fine. So let's move on to Buffalo. Let's check it out. What are these guys dealing with here? Again, 4 games with 2 off nights for Buffalo. They play Monday and then Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So the off nights are the Monday and the Sunday. We're looking at, JJ Peterka. He's been great this year. I think the guys, he's must roster. So hopefully you have him, put him in your IR plus, then you got a streaming spot. But Peterka is making some headway. It sounds like he could be back for the Monday game. So hopefully he is. Otherwise, yeah, we're not getting as much value out of him. Josh Norris, as I talked about, he's day-to-day. might miss the Monday. That would stink, but you got to keep an eye out on that. And then we also got guys like Bo Byram, Owen Power, the Power Glove, Jason Zucker, Jay-Z, Big Pimpin', Zach the Butler Benson, and Jack Quinn, Medicine Woman. We got I don't know why I haven't called him that before. Yeah. So obviously to me, Peterka is the guy that I'm interested in more than anything else, even over Josh Norris, I would say. I do think that Norris is going to be a shutdown risk and that there's potential there. So I'd go Peterka, Norris, but then, the other guys we're looking at here, like Zucker still is getting power play 1. Jack Quinn is still getting power play 1 at times. So I think there's some value there. In terms of the defenseman, I'm going Bo Byram over Owen Power. Owen Power's minutes have kind of fallen off a cliff recently. Like he's only averaging just under 19 minutes in the last 5 games. Metrics are decent, but it 1 assist in 5 games. That's not going to cut it, my man. Whereas Bo Byram's getting like 21 minutes average time on ice over the last 5 minutes. So better chance he's going to do stuff there. Zach Benson, actually, he's not getting much ice time, but 4 points in the last 5 games, 86 overall in shots to goal per 60, pretty good, but 200th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60. So he's just chucking them on net, and that's fine, right? But I don't like the ice time there. He's power play 2. I don't know. I'm not interested. I think, I'm going Peterka, Norris, Zucker, Quinn, Byram, Benson, Power. That's how I would roll with the Buffalo Sabres there. My 2 cents, book it. All right, let's keep moving on here. LA Kings, we got some good pieces, right? How about Quentin Byfield? 5 goals in 5 games. The guy's cooking right now. I love it. I'm here for it. I've had him through this whole stretch where he's really doing some stuff. Now the guy, he's on a 50-point pace after really kind of stinking up the joint early on in the season. This is a guy that has a ton of potential. I'm a big fan of the player, and he's really doing the thing right now. So I love Quentin Byfield. Trevor Moore's out there. Alex Ferrier. That's an interesting one because that was a guy who had some value because he's a metrics guy, but also he was playing on power play 1, and that's not the case anymore. He's not even getting power play 2 at the moment. So that's a guy I'm maybe not as interested in. Warren Fogel's out there. Big Kuzi, Andrei Kuzmenko, Phil Deneau, Tanner Jeannot. Phil Deneau, Tanner Jeannot. That's funny. Those names are together. Jeannot, obviously in bangers leagues. That's what you're looking at there. But yeah, in terms of metrics, like the Kings aren't really doing that well in terms of that, like individually. Quentin Byfield to me is the best case here. He's getting great ice time, just under 19 minutes, 125th overall in shots to goal per 60, but 29th overall in the last 5 games in individual scoring chances for per 60. So he's getting it done, albeit, his 5 goals are scored on 41% shooting percentage in the last 5 games. So don't expect the goals to keep going, but I think some assists are probably on the way. This is a guy that he's a good facilitator as well. He's great at board battles and getting the puck to guys like Fiala. Also, Trevor Moore at 4 points in the last 5 games. Minutes aren't really there, and he's not shooting the way he normally does, which is a little bit of a surprise, but, absolutely viable. Warren Foegele, I think, is been a nice surprise this year. This guy's on a 47-point pace. I'm here for it. It's this guy bangs. He's really good at that, and I think he's found a nice home kind of in the mushy middle 6 of the Los Angeles Kings there. So, and then Big Kuzi is getting power play 1 time, but he's not doing a damn thing with it. I don't think it's going to be long before he's relegated to power play 2 and probably like 10 minutes a night or 11 minutes a night. So I'm really not interested in Kuzmenko. I hate to say it. He had his fun in his first season here in the NHL, and yeah, it's been a slog ever since, but Byfield for sure I'm interested in. Next up, I would say probably Trevor Moore, Warren Foegele, Philip Deneau, and then the remains, right? Probably Kuzi, Laferriere, and then Jeannot. That's how I'd handle the Kings. Okay, let's move on. Next team, Philly. Matvei Michkov is still 50% rostered. I get it. He's getting the torch treatment. We've talked about it to death, but this is a guy that in the lineup, even in limited minutes, he's going to do stuff for you. That said, 2 points in the last 5 games, not great, but really low shooting percentage. On ice shooting percentage is terrible as well. He's pacing for 59 points, which is a really respectable season considering the weird deployment that he's got this year and the lack of consistency. His metrics are great too. Like 45th overall in shots to goal per 60 over the last 5, 25th overall in individual Corsi for per 60. I love that. So he's chucking pucks. He's doing the thing. He's taking a page out of Owen Tippett's book. But yeah, Michkov, I think, is a reasonable ad. Ristolainen, he was a power play one quarterback there. He's banged up as per Torts, so he might not even be in the lineup here for Philly's first game. So yeah, if he's in the lineup, I think he's reasonable to roster. Torts has actually been speaking highly of him, which has been a surprise. He might be the first coach to ever do that for Rasmus Ristolainen. And he's pretty good in bangers leagues too. He hits and blocks pretty darn well. So he's out there. Tyson Forster, Noah Cates, they were getting some power play one time, but who knows if that's going to continue on. That could just as easily, move on to somebody else. Bobby Brink, the Brink truck, he had a really nice game this last game. So the Flyers are really hard to kind of pinpoint here and how I want to proceed. You also got Jamie Drysdale, who is taking over power play one with Rasmus Ristolainen out, but no one's really cooking right now. No one's doing the thing. I would say Michkov is obviously the one you want to roster for sure. The other players, I mean, Tyson Forster, I'd probably go with him just for the deployment. This guy's averaging just under 21 minutes in the last 5 games. Noah Cates, Bobby Brink, I think that's how I would order them. And then, Jamie Drysdale, it's kind of the bottom of the barrel, right? I'm not the biggest fan of Jamie Drysdale this season. He definitely needs some more Torts development. Maybe some time in the press box, Torts. I know that's how you like to develop your players. So, maybe he just needs to be scratched a few times and humiliated in front of his peers. Oh, God. I'd be like the fluffiest, loveliest coach ever. Our team wouldn't win a damn thing. All right. But we'd feel good. All right. Until the losing sets in and then we turn on each other. Okay. Another team with 4 games, 2 off nights. Tampa Bay Lightning. We know who the players are here. If Anthony Cirelli is available, that's a guy that you can turn to for sure, but he's not doing anything currently. Was so hot earlier. So hot. But 0 points in the last 5 games. Minutes are still good. Metrics are terrible. So I'm not expecting much out of him. The jerk store, Oliver Bjorkstrand, that's an interesting piece. He is getting power play one on that flank there, the left flank, but he's not getting very many minutes otherwise, right? He's averaging just under 15 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist in the last 5 games. Metrics aren't great. He's not really shooting either. So he's trying to find his legs there with the Lightning. And at this time of year, I'm not super stoked to just hang on to a guy and hope for the best. I would rather have a guy that I feel good about his role, secure about his role, whereas I feel like Bjorkstrand is not really a safe pickup. And to that point, I've picked him up twice and dropped him twice in a couple spots, and I'm not going to be picking him up again until I see a bit more consistency with his deployment. I do like the power play one, but you know who else got power play one? Nick Paul at times. Like, is that exciting to you? Because I know Bjorkstrand is a better player to me than Nick Paul, but I don't know. He's getting the same kind of deployment. So just because you're on power play one with an amazing power play doesn't mean it's going to equal production, right? So that's where I'm at with him. Eric Cernak is out there in banger leagues if you want a piece of that. Cool name, Eric Cernak. That sounds like a villain as well, like Morgan Frost, the Tinkly Winkly Man. Eric Cernak and Morgan Frost together. Who's the guy they go after? Raquel. Yeah, he's the superhero. Anyways, I'm creating a whole story in my head. I'll release that later to zero fanfare. No one is interested. Let's move on to the last team here with 4 games and 2 off nights, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And yeah, it's slim pickings here with your Leafs. You got OEL if you're interested in that, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Decent minutes. Deployment is good. 1 assist in the last 5, though. I don't like that. It's just the Leafs are they're really a 2-line team, and no one else is really getting in on the action, right? And especially with the power play being a 5-forward power play, there's just lack of exposure to really good players in offensive situations for OEL. So I'm not too stoked there. Jake McCabe, bangers leagues, like he does other stuff too, but I don't know. You can get Max Domi as well. This guy played unreal. I looked at him. For next week. I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on that, but I don't know. You could do worse. Like, the guy's a streaky player. He always has been. He's a guy that needs offensive deployment, and he's not going to get that here with the Leafs. He's a third liner for sure, but he had a really great game. He smoked Carter Verhaeghe, and then he beat the hell out of Nate Schmidt on the Panthers there. It was a great performance by Max Domi. So if he's bringing more of that, yeah, maybe I'm interested, but it's a little too early to tell. All right. There are 3 teams here. Now we'll move on to that play 3 games with 2 off nights. So these are just as valuable as these other teams here, because these off nights are really coveted, right? So, and I will say, well, first off, it's Columbus, it's Minnesota, and it's Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Penguins are their only heavy night is on the 9-game Tuesday, right? And then they play Friday, Sunday. So Pittsburgh is a really nice week-long stream if there's people there that you're interested in, right? But let's start in Columbus. Adam Fantilli, you got to have him. Okay, I know Columbus is sagging a little bit right now, and we'll see what happens. And now that Merzlikins is out, that's an interesting piece as well. But I read that the Blue Jackets had a players-only meeting. They're trying to calibrate. They want to finish the season strong, and they have so much to play for this year. I feel like Columbus is going to find another gear and get back to biz. And Fantilli is the line one center, power play one, right? And he's still available out there. It doesn't make any sense. So Fantilli is a must roster to me. You got Dmitry Voronkov, who has bounced off of power play one to power play two. He's still playing line one with Marchenko and Fantilli. So there's still some value there, but it's muted. Meanwhile, Boone Jenner, big Boone Jenner, we got him. All right. He's on power play one, and that's pretty damn nice. Jenner in his last 5 games here, 2 assists, good deployment, just under 18 minutes. Metrics are okay. He's 161st in shots goal per 60, 240th in individual scoring chances per 60. I think he's trying to find his legs here, right? And they had him on the wing, whereas, he's a little bit better as a center, I think. But they had him on the wing, so we'll see what happens there. But I like the power play one deployment. That's a guy that can heat up. He's got 9 assists in 9 games. Boone, we need that first goal, buddy. You'd probably just take one right off the chin. A slap shot off the chin, no damage to Boone. Top cheese in the net. Boone's a legend. Let's go. And then Kent Johnson, I'm obviously very interested in that player. 3 points in his last 5. Metrics not great, but he's pacing for 72 points. Really nice season for Kent Johnson. And then Matthew Olivier, this guy's got 4 points in the last 5. He can do some stuff out there. And the metrics are they're surprising, actually. Like, this guy might be more than just a beefer. Again, like I said, 4 points in the last 5, 22nd overall in shots to goal per 60, and 40th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60. Matthew Olivier, what? That's crazy stuff. He's playing on a line with Justin Danforth and Zach Aston Reese. I don't think I've ever watched that man play. I think that's the first time I've ever said his name. So, yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. I think there's some value there, right? You could do worse. In a points league, I'm not interested. Points with bangers, Matthew Olivier, maybe, right? There's some potential there. I'm not saying that you go out and add him, but he's not a whiff, that's for sure. So in terms of order there, I'm going Fantilli for sure. Probably going Johnson. Then I'm going Jenner. Then I'm going Voronkov, and then Olivier. That's how I'm rocking there. Jenner gets the slight edge over Voronkov because of power play one. But that could change too. That could go back. If Voronkov gets back on power play one, he's the guy. Over to Minnesota. Again, they have the Monday, Wednesday start. So these guys are a really nice team to start your week from, and you can move on to something else. But the Zucchini Man, his rostership is falling. I hate to see this. He's at 51% currently on Yahoo. That's nuts. You got to get him. Even with Cap out, it's him and Boldy and Marco Rossi. That's it. That's really it. So Zuccarello is chugging minutes. He's getting all the offensive opportunity, not doing much with it right now. I mean, Minnesota's a slog, low event hockey, but they're pulling out games. They got good defense, good goaltending. We'll see what happens, but Zucchini Man should be rostered. Minnesota has a really good schedule moving forward as well for your fantasy hockey playoffs. So pick him up. Marco Rossi, another guy should probably be on a team for sure. So I think those two are the two that I'm interested in most there. We got Jake Middleton for Bangers Leagues, Gustav Nyquist, Marcus Foligno, and I wanted to just highlight Ryan Hartman here as well. I think Hartman is interesting, especially for next week, because if you're in a competitive league, he might be one of the only guys that's available. And I think he's only 6 or 7% rostered, but he can do stuff out there. He's playing third line, power play 2, so the deployment's not great. But the metrics for Hartman have always been pretty decent. And he's a gamer. He goes out there and does his thing. Minutes are okay. He's last 5 games, he's played over 16 minutes. That's enough. That's enough to get you some value. He might be able to get you a goal or two here in the week. He's got 3 points in the last 5, so that's nice. But 56 overall in shots to goal per 60, 26 overall in individual scoring chances for per 60, and 87th overall. 26 overall in individual Corsi for per 60, and then 87th overall in individual scoring chances for per 60. He's doing stuff. He looks good out there. And yeah, if you're in a bangers league with Pims, he's even higher, right? He's an ultimate dingus. So there you go. I'm definitely interested in Ryan Hartman for the week. And then lastly, over to Pittsburgh, Brian Rust. If for some reason he's on your wire, he's a must add. He's a must add. We've been saying it for weeks. If he's still there, he's a must add, okay? Because this is a week where we truly need him. Evgeny Malkin as well. Like both these guys are must adds. It doesn't make any sense in a week like this for you to not have those two players on your squad. In terms of some of the fringe players, though, like I don't know. There's not a lot that I'm interested in. Grizzlick can do stuff. He's 4% rostered. I think that's it. It might just be Grizzlick. That's because he's running power play 2, or he's out there for power play 2. And there's a little bit of value, but definitely lower your expectations there. Rust, Malkin, must-add players for this upcoming week. And lastly, there are 4 teams that play 4 games with 1 off night. Calgary Flames, Chicago Blackhawks, Nashville Predators, and the St. Louis Blues. I'm not going to go through all of those players, all right? We got to talk about the Patreon, the Apples on Gino's Patreon. Let's get into it. All right. So if you're interested, we have a supporter tier that's $2 a month. That gives you access to the patron-only live shows. That's pretty sweet. Nate has had some real success with that this year. And yeah, next year for the Patreon, I think I'm going to be a little bit more involved. So I think, yeah, get in on the ground floor because we're going to be adding some stuff to the Patreon. And it's just something that we're building out year to year. And Nate's done a really good job with that supporter tier and those live shows. So check it out. For $8 a month, yeah, you're getting the Apples tier. You're getting, the patron-only live shows, plus you're getting access to the patron-only Discord channels where, yeah, lots of good conversations going on there. Nate answers questions in there. You also get the show notes for these shows here, like the Week 22. I'll be putting that in the patron-only Discord channel. Also, and that does include like the weekly ad targets, so that's pretty handy stuff. And then you get the A&G player evaluation tool. That's what Nate and I use when we're looking at shots on goal per 60, individual scoring chances for per 60, IPP, shooting percentage, all that stuff. It's a beautiful document that Nate has created. So you get that for $8 a month. It's absolutely worth it. I've been using it since I joined Apples and Ginos. It's really good stuff. And then if you're truly a mega fan of Apples and Ginos, you can join the Ginos tier, $15 a month, all the same perks from the Apples tier, but Nate will answer every single question you ask personally. He does that. Plus, he'll drive to your house and he'll cook you a delicious Thanksgiving dinner. He's really good. He has his own baster. He gets it going. He preheats the oven. He gets it in there. He's basting away. He's really good at that. He's got amazing finger dexterity. It's crazy. His forearms are insanely strong for some reason. I don't know what the situation is, but yeah, anyways, hit us up on the Patreon. All right. Link is in the description. Really good stuff. It's not too late. Let us help you with your playoffs. And I should mention as well, aside from the Patreon, hit us up on X, right? Or Blue Sky. Hit us up in the DMs. I'll answer any question asked of me regardless. So do that. Get in there. Apples and Ginos Patreon if you want to support us. We're doing stuff in there. Let's move on. We got to talk about the Dream Streams. These are the best players to stream for Week 22 as ranked by Nate. So I'll go through Nate's list. I'll maybe make a couple notes if I'm interested. But yeah, let's look down the list here. Number 1 with a bullet. Nate's got Adam Fantilli. Yeah, we talked about why this is important to pick up Adam Fantilli. I think too when Sean Monahan comes back, I'm not convinced that he's taken this spot away from Fantilli. There's potential, and I don't even know if Sean Monahan's coming back. We haven't heard too much from that player. So Fantilli's he's a full go right now. Brian Rust is the second one. I already made my case for him. This guy's ridiculous. It makes no sense that if he's out there. JJ Peterka and Josh Norris are 3 and 4 in this list. Yeah, obviously we got to check their status. I think Peterka has a better chance of playing games moving forward, so might bump Norris down the list here. We got Malkin here at number 5, Morgan Geeky at number 6. I like that. Quentin Byfield, Boone Jenner, Oliver Bjorkstrand, like I said, is on this list at number 9. Power play 1, but really low minutes. Marco Rossi at number 10. I like that. I'd probably put Rossi a little bit higher, even though Minnesota plays just the 3 games, right? But I mean, starting out the week with Marco Rossi, he's a must-add, right? And then you decide what you want to do moving forward. But I think he's a great player. He has a really bright future. Obviously, you know, the the floor is a little bit lower on that team with Cap out of the lineup. But Marco Rossi's doing stuff out there. I added Ryan Hartman to the list because I'm into that. All right. But yeah, I think if I made one change to this list, it'd probably be put Quentin Byfield above Morgan Geekie. And that's a little chintzy, but yeah, I like Byfield. I like what he's doing there. All right. And that's best for points ranked by Nate. Now we're going to do best for hits. And we got him ranked here. Matthew Olivier. Yeah, this guy's going ham out there. He's just crushing people on the regular. Tanner Jeannot. Superman Simon Benoit. What the hell was this guy doing? I've seen Kevin Bieksa do the Superman punch in a fight, but Simon Benoit took it a step further. I don't even know what he was doing. Like he cocked his fist way back like he was dunking on a guy. Definitely check out the clip if you haven't seen Simon Benoit fight and do the Superman punch. It's good stuff. Marcus Foligno at number 4 for hits. Nikita Zadorov as well, number 5. He's doing stuff. Mega beefer. Should have signed with the Canucks, buddy. What were you doing? And then best for blocks, ranked by Nate. We'll start with Nick Seeler. Yeah, he does that. Get him a body bag because of all the pucks that hit his body. Jake Middleton, Brandon Carlo, now on the Leafs. Yeah, he's getting a little bit, just an extended run there. Nothing crazy, but he's playing just a minute or two more than he was in Boston, and I like that. Jared Spurgeon, the Spurge, buddy. Oh, my God. Yeah, he's a block party, no question. Jake McCabe as well is there. So those are your best for blocks for this upcoming week. And now, I do want to get into this next section here that we like to call Hold Me. Yeah, it feels good. All right. Sorry, that was ultimately creepy. And I'll probably edit that in post. These are the best players to add for the rest of your season, right? And obviously at this point of the season, we're looking at players that are going to help you the most with your upcoming playoffs. So again, these are ranked by Nate, but the list looks really good to me, so I'm going to read it off here. Number 1, we got Marco Rossi, 41% rostered, line 1, power play 1. What are we doing? Yeah, I think you got to add this player. There's, again, good schedule moving forward. He can really help you out in your playoffs. Nicky Schmaltz at number 2. He's looking good. He's only 36% rostered. That's nuts. Troy Terry's on this list. JJ Peterka, Adam Fantilli at number 5. Logan Cooley at number 6 is interesting for Nate there. Again, like I mentioned, the metrics are not great. He's on power play 2, so I'll have to. I'd love to hear Nate's take on Logan Cooley, maybe in puzzling players here. Maybe I'll talk to him about that on Sunday. But yeah, 43% rostered for Logan Cooley. He's got him here at number 6. Brian Rust at 7. Josh Norris at 8. Ryan Donato at 9. He's cracked the top 10, and I'm here for it. This guy just keeps doing it. It's crazy. He's playing with Ilya Mikheyev and Toivo Teravainen, and they're popping off. And by popping off, I mean getting 1 assist per game. But that's enough. Like for a guy that was just a wing and a prayer stream, he's really been he's probably the best stream I've had all year, Ryan Donato. And I think he's going to be good to go rest of the season. I don't know if I have him at 9, but Quentin Byfield at number 10, Pavel Dorofeyev at number 11. I think, this might be a schedule stuff that Nate's looking at because Chicago does have an amazing schedule moving forward. So that might be what's putting Ryan Donato ahead of Quentin Byfield and Pavel Dorofeyev. But Dorofeyev, my God, what's this man got into? He's got 5 points in his last 5 games, 18 minutes average time on ice. Check these stats in the last 5. 7th overall in shots to goal per 60. 5th overall in chuck and pucks per 60. 5th overall in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60, and 3rd overall in on-ice Corsi 4 per 60 and on-ice scoring chances, 4 per 60. He's doing the thing. He's going off. And this is all with like a pretty low IPP, 45% IPP, 10% shooting. I think he can do better than that. This guy's going to be a real player. That's a guy that I think is going to be a potential sleeper going into next year, right? I think we'll be able to get him at some value. And this is a guy that might even be a 30 and 30 guy next year. Deployment depending, right? And that might be a hot take, but I really like Pavel Dorofeyev, and I want to shout him out. At 12, Nate's got Evgeny Malkin. 13, Boone Jenner. Kent Johnson after that. I'm probably taking Johnson over Boone Jenner. Sorry, Boone. At 15, Mason McTavish. Barrett Hayton at 16. Dmitry Voronkov at 17. And Tyler Toffoli he's got here. We should mention San Jose just has that horrid schedule, but Toffoli, yeah, he shoots the puck, and he's done that consistently throughout his career. And yeah, I get it. It's just, I'm not looking to pick up any San Jose players at this point. It's my 2 cents. Let's talk about Sub 20% rostered. Jason Zucker, he's getting that power play one for the most part. Bjorkstrand as well. Morgan Geeky, these are all power play one guys. Kyle Palmieri, power play one as well. Will Smith, what about this guy? He's looking really good here, Will Smith. He's killing me in one spot here. I'm up against the guy that I feel like I should be beating, but Will Smith is keeping him in this freaking matchup. He's got 7 points in his last 5. Really good minutes. Amazing on-ice numbers for Will Smith and his line. 18th overall in Corsi 4/60 and 5th overall in scoring chances 4/60 in the last 5 games. They're really generating a lot of shots and chances when Will Smith is out there. So I like to see it. We got Big Kuzi here, 11% rostered at number 6, and then Alex Laferriere at number 7. Sub 10%, Mackie Samoskevich. Hell yes. This is a guy I'm actually really into. I've seen some stuff in our Discord about, do I drop Carter Verhaeghe and add Mackie Samoskevich? That's not crazy. That's not crazy, but I'm not doing it. I'm not saying do that, but I understand the thought. I'd like to have both, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like something's up with Carter Verhaeghe. I don't understand the low minute totals. Obviously, he's bounced off power play 1. Now he's on power play 2. Still getting line 1, but the major benefactor here, Mackie Samoskevich. He had 2 power play assists last game. He's looking great. 5 points in the last 5. 8th overall in shots to goal per 60. 24th overall in individual scoring chances per 60. Here's another guy that I'm interested to see how they handle Mackie Samoskevich in the playoffs. Like, obviously, we know Kachuk's going to come back and, they're going to get their roster together. Where does Samoskevich fit in? Is this a guy that kind of comes out of nowhere and really makes a name for himself in the playoffs? I can see it happening. And he's 10% rostered. I think if you can add Mackie Samoskevich and it makes sense for your team, like, I like him better than some of the guys in the initial list, right? I would take Mackie Samoskevich over some of those guys. So that's my 2 cents there. Still sub 10% rostered. Casey Middlestad, Gustav Nyquist, Jaden Schwartz, Cutter Gauthier, Trevor Zegras, Marco Casper, 7% rostered. I like this player. That line with Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat, they look good. They're tilting the ice out there. He's on power play 2, but it's a good fit. I think that 5-point game that Kane had, DeBrincat had 4, Casper had 3 in that game. I think that was long overdue. They were playing really well. They were just snake bitten, and they were able to convert in that game. So we'll see. I think Detroit moving down the stretch here, they really have a lot to play for. They got a lot of ground to make up, so they'll be cooking. Dawson Mercer, he's power play 1 right now. Horrible metrics, but he's out there. Tyler Bertuzzi as well. Not too interested there. Let's look at long-term plays on defense. Mason Lowry, 17% rostered. Yep, I think so. How about the pickle, Alex Vlasic? He's 12% rostered, but we had a Levshinov sighting on power play 1 there in Chicago. He was heading up power play 1. So we got to keep an eye out there. Vlasic without power play 1 is not a guy that I'm super stoked on. We do have Brady Shea there, 41% rostered, but it looks like Nick Blankenberg has taken over the power play from Brady Shea. I have to check on the most recent matchup, but I mean, Blankenberg, I think, is 0% rostered or 1% rostered. He's strictly a power play specialist. So that could cap some of the value on Brady Shea, but we'll see what happens there. Rasmus Ristolainen as well, 8% rostered. I think you can do something there. Sub 20%, it's Lowry again, Vlasic, Ristolainen, Justin Falk at 16%. He's power play 2. He bangs. He does stuff, but I mean, really low ceiling, decent floor. Tony DeAngelo is at 12%. He's playing power play 2. I can't bring myself to roster this man. I'm sorry, but he's a good offensive defenseman, that's for sure. But power play 2 on a kind of a stinky team, I'm not interested. Zach Jones, I'd take him over DeAngelo for sure. He's 1% rostered. So there you go. And let's move into the goalies. Let's check it out. Long-term plays moving forward. We got Karel Vejmelka. Vegetable lasagna. Don't get any on you. He's 42% rostered and rising. This guy's played 9 straight. He's a must-roster player at this point. He's going to get all the run moving forward. Ingram's out in the player assistance program. It's the Vejmelka show. Get him in your roster. Utah has a really good schedule moving forward. I want to talk about this. Elvis Merzlikins. Like I said, he's taking some personal time there. So what does this mean for Tarasov? Does Tarasov become a play? This is a guy that hasn't been great in relief of Merzlikins, and I like Merzlikins a lot better, but there's still some value there. So, I mean, yeah, maybe you talk to me in the comments. Who would you take? Would you take Tarasov or would you take Spencer Knight? Who would you rather? Because I think Spencer Knight is looking pretty good there in Chicago at least in terms of volume stats. But the problem is he's going one game on, one game off, switching up with Arvid Soderblom. So I don't know. Talk to me about that. Hit me up in the comments, Tarasov or Spencer Knight. You decide. All right. I'm probably taking Spencer Knight there just for the security and the volume play. But I mean, I think Tarasov has probably a higher ceiling, right? And he's probably going to get some more run. Lucas Dostal as well is 44% roster. This guy's amazing. I think if I had to choose, it's Vejmelka, then it's Dostal, and then Spencer Knight, then it's Tarasov. That's probably how I'm going to roll there. Sub 25%, Sammy Urson, 20% rostered. I'm not interested there. Tristan Jarry, I am interested. Is that crazy? He's won 3 straight. Wait, is he back? Is he all the way back? No. All right, but this is a good week. He'll probably get 2 of the 3 games for Pittsburgh. So I think, Jarry might get some run here to finish out the season. Peter Mrazek there in Detroit. Jimmy Crack-Corn, and I don't care. No. All right, we got one last piece of business to get to. The head-to-head streamer death match. This is a real barn burner this week, folks. I picked Fabian Zetterlund. Nate picked Jonathan Drouin, and both these players were promptly bounced off of Power Play 1 to start the week. And the scores reflect that. Jonathan Drouin played a game tonight, donuts. So he's got 1 couple point in 3 games with 1 to go. Fabian Zetterlund has 4.25 points in 3 games with 1 to go. So I don't know. Am I going to pull out another win here? This would be probably the most unsatisfying win of the season if I'm able to pull it off, because this has been gross. But I honestly don't see how either of these guys is going to figure in on the scoring at this point with the type of deployment they're getting. So I don't know. It is what it is, but I'm loving it. All right. I smashed Nate this year. And that feels all right. This will be 2 years in a row where I've been able to beat him at the head-to-head streamer death match. I have to take the wins where I can get them, folks, because Nate runs house in every damn league. It's insane. All right. Nate and I are in one league together. He's second in that league. I'm fourth. So I'm hoping we get a chance to play each other in the playoffs. That would be really fun. But shout out to Nate Gruden, like, buddy, get well soon. Take a picture of the toe, put it in the Discord. That's all we got for this episode, folks. Hopefully it brought you some value. All right. Because that's what we're trying to do here. That's how we get from A to B. And help to get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource. Many thanks to the band. They're there for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Celebrate your day. Bye for now.